We're here with the man in the know about everything U of L football and basketball, CL Brand, who's covered the team for the Courier-Journal for several years. We're going to get your thoughts on a number of topics, CL. We'll start off with the Cards. Hoop season is winding down. The Big East race, I mean, there's kind of a logjam at the top right now. Louisville, one of really 4 or 5 teams that realistically have a shot at the title. How do you think this thing will play out down the stretch?
Seems like it's always this way in the Big East this time of year. You have Syracuse right now with James Sutherland back in the lineup. You have to figure that they're a favorite. I mean, especially they already have a game up on U of L, but they're also tied with Georgetown and Marquette. But I think Syracuse has the toughest schedule of the remaining games. I mean, they play Georgetown twice. They wanted to maximize this being the last year of the Big East as we've always known it and get that rivalry game in on prime time. And then they also have to play Louisville again. It's in Syracuse, but they'll play Marquette as well. So that's the 4 teams vying for the top spot that they all have to contend with. Where, you know, U of L gets I don't want to say a break, but they play some lower tier teams in Seton Hall and they play at DePaul. So those would definitely be some easier games for them as well. So Georgetown and Marquette also, they have to take to the road. Georgetown is at UConn, at Syracuse, at Villanova, and Syracuse and U of L know how tough Villanova can be playing on the road there. And then Marquette also has 4 road games. So it'll be interesting how everything just kind of shakes out.
You mentioned Louisville's schedule. Syracuse has got a tough schedule. Do you think it could come down, even though it's not the final game? U of L still got Notre Dame and Cincinnati that last week. Do you think the Syracuse-U of L game, if U of L were to win that, would that put them in the driver's seat?
Well, I would say driver's seat, but you still don't know how Georgetown and Marquette are going to play out as well. So, I mean, I think ultimately there will be a shared title in the Big East. I don't think any one team is going to emerge, you know, a game ahead of anybody else. And then you still have Notre Dame at 9-5 in the conference, which just, you know, a game and a half out of first place. So they could still factor in as well.
All right, let's talk about the All-Big East team. Who are your main guys? If you were filling out a ballot today, how would you fill it out?
I'd start with Otto Porter at Georgetown. He would probably be my player of the year just because he does so many things for that team, and he ranks in the top 15 stats-wise in the conference in many different categories. I'd go with Brandon Trish. I'd go with Brandon Trish and Michael Carter-Williams from Syracuse, and I'd go with Russ Smith and Gorgie Jane from U of L.
Right. Now, next item, let's move on to U of L. And, you know, one of the issues they've had that I think they're starting to get it together, but late game execution is still a concern with a lot of people. You've watched these guys. You've seen every game. What's been the biggest issue? And I know there's been a lot of discussion of who should have the ball at the end of the games. Is it that simple? And what do you think they need to do on their end to get this shored up, you know, before March? Because once you get in the tournament, you can almost count on having, you know, a couple of barn burners, you know, during that process.
It seems like it's been a different thing just about every close game they've had. I mean, the Villanova game, it was their free throw line problems. The Syracuse game, and at the end of regulation against Notre Dame, it's not even being able to get a final shot off when Siva hits Gorgie and he's not able to handle the pass as well. So I think at this point too, there might be a little bit of, you know, mental. There's some head games going on when it becomes a tight situation, just because they haven't always handled it well. I do think it helps that at the end of the Pittsburgh game, they finished that game out strong. You even had Shane Bohannon and Gorgie Jang, who had missed free throws in clutch situations before, coming through making those free throws. So I think all of that helps. I think probably getting Russ Smith in a close game situation where he comes through for them just to kind of get the demons or what have you from the Notre Dame overtime, the ends of overtimes in that game, to get that out of his system. But at this point, I think the one major concern I would have for this team in close games is free throw shooting.
Right. Take me into the mind of Russ Smith a little bit. I know you spend, I know you spend a lot of time around these guys.
Is that even possible?
Yeah, I mean, Russ. I mean, he's been a polarized. Most people I think everybody loves Russ as a person. They like watching him play. He drives people crazy at times with some of the decision making in late games. He's never struck me as a selfish, me first kind of guy. Is he just a player that maybe falls prey to being, you know, maybe a little too confident in his own abilities at times? What's the deal with him, you think?
I can't tell you, Chip, because, Russ the one thing you know about Russ is that he's going to go 100%. He's going to go all out. Outside of that, I can't tell you why he takes half of the shots he takes. You could see it in the UConn game. He's leading on a 1-on-2 break. And I think both of the UConn defenders just thought, okay, there are two of us back. There's no way he's going to go to the hole. He's going to pull it back out. He puts it in another gear, splits them, and makes a basket. I think most players don't think like Russ thinks.
Right.
He sees shots where other people don't see them or can't even come close to getting them off. So I think you just have to live with it. For better or for worse, you just have to live with it.
And Rick mentioned last week that he expects Russ, Gorgie, and Shane to at least, evaluate their NBA potential after the season. What do you think about those three guys? Who do you expect? It's hard to predict right now, but if you had a guess right now, who would you say is coming back, and who do you think will be leaving?
Well, from talking to scouts, Gorgie Jang out of these three is the one who they believe is a first-round pick right now. He could probably come out. Russ and Shane really, I think, will depend on what they want to do. From the guys I've talked to, they're not looked at right now as first rounders.
Right.
So then it just becomes a decision of are they going to feel like another year in college is going to help them boost their stock? With Russ being an undersized two guard for the NBA, is he going to be able to work on being a point guard and showing that he can facilitate? Or for Shane, it's showing some more small forward skills, working on the perimeter, having an outside shot consistently, knocking that down. So you never know. When it comes down to a decision like that, individual decision, you never know if somebody's just going to be like, I'll take my chances, or I can come back and try and get better.
Selection Sunday will be here before you know it. The Cards in most brackets are projected as a 3 seed right now, but there's still some time to either move up a notch or two or slip down. Ultimately, what do you think they get?
Ultimately, I think they probably fall as a 2 or 3 seed. Rick Pitino today on the Big East teleconference said he believes if they win out, they'll be a number 1 seed because it's the Big East and because that'll mean they have some more quality wins in there. I think it's going to be hard to, even if they win out, to jump over. I think the Big Ten is going to get 2 number 1 seeds because that's the best conference this year. And then you have, Miami, Duke, you never know how that's going to play out. Florida certainly has played consistently well throughout the season. A team like Kansas out of the Big 12. I think it's going to be hard to get into that number 1 seed area, but I think they could definitely be a 2 and a 3 right now if the season ended today.
Who's your Final Four?
Final Four, I think IU right now, Miami, University of Florida, and probably outside of the box for some people, I think Gonzaga I think this is the year they kind of get over their hump. Definitely a year like this, there's going to be somebody outside of the box, maybe even an Oklahoma State, because they have good guards, young guards, but they've come on towards the end of the last part of the year.
So you're a believer in the Hurricanes?
I am. They're an old team.
Yeah,
they're an old
veteran
college team.
Right, with good guards and good big men as well.